A tropical wave is moving through the eastern Caribbean right now, and a developing disturbance in the western Caribbean this weekend is going to bring widespread impacts. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi, my friends. Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We are your home for Caribbean weather. It's nice to see you for this latest video. Hope you're doing well. Coming up in this video, we're getting some heavier showers and storms and some gusty winds to move into the eastern Caribbean right now. We have our monsoon trough and a lot of moisture that'll be developing with that in the western Caribbean, and that's going to start to impact those areas in the coming days. I've got your island by island forecast for you guys as well. Lot to get into. Let's get started. Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They are hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. You get storm damage of any kind, wind, hail, hurricane. They'll walk you through that insurance claim process. Check them out by going to leanonmelaw.com for more information. First of all, I appreciate you guys finding enough information on this channel and what I do to spend part of your day with me. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you guys for taking time out of your day to join the channel. Let me know in the comments section below what's been happening in your area, what the weather has been like, and let's get started with our surface analysis. We have a boundary over the Bahamas right now, and that has allowed some moisture to stream into that area, but it's a fairly thin layer and we're not getting a lot of lift in the atmosphere, so this is not a big focusing mechanism for some heavier rain, but we are seeing a trough beginning to move into the eastern Caribbean, and that will continue to provide better shower and storm chances here late on this Friday and the early part of the weekend, and down the road beginning tomorrow and especially through the weekend. We're going to have a lot to talk about in the western Caribbean as well. But we'll begin the video in the eastern side of our area, where again, moisture is just beginning to develop ahead of this broad disturbance. Now again, let me be clear. This is not going to develop into a tropical depression or a tropical storm, but this wave or disturbance is a very large area of active weather in the form of numerous showers, a few thunderstorms, and some gusty winds from time to time as well. As a matter of fact, here I'm going to bring on the temperatures, which you can see are falling in some spots. Now, they're not that cold, but you can see a couple of areas down here towards TNT. Tobago has had a little bit cooler weather as the rain has moved in, and then these are the wind gusts at the hour. So across the Lesser Antilles right now, we're getting some 25, 30, and even 35-mile-an-hour winds. That's coming with the passing showers and the building sea heights as well. So let me give you just an overview of some of the impacts this disturbance is going to bring. Barbados is under a flood watch through at least Saturday. Cumulatively, they're going to get 50 to 75 millimeters of rain, or 2 to 3 inches, and a fair amount of the island that could lead to some quick flash flooding in a couple of spots and some landslide situations, just dependent on where you are on the island. They also have a marine advisory with swells building into that 2 to 3 meter height. We also have a high surf advisory for the Leeward Islands and the Virgin Islands. Again, seas building up to around 3.1 meters or up to 10 feet. Now, this isn't a cursory look at all of the watches and warnings, but what I've been able to find. So just keep an eye out if you live in these areas for the opportunity to fall under some kind of either flood or marine advisories over the weekend as this disturbance continues to move through the area. Right now, the thickest moisture is farther off towards the south. They're starting to see some heavier downpours developing over Trinidad and Tobago. They're trying to lift north towards Grenada. And again, we've had some rain over portions of Barbados, some breezy conditions over St. Lucia. Look, from time to time, we've already had a little bit of the shower activity, but the bulk of the moisture is still east and will still be moving in late Friday, overnight, and through Saturday. That's going to be the best time frame for your rain chances and the heavier downpours to come along for the ride. Well, unfortunately, looks like we just lost our camera here in St. Lucia. When I looked at it 5 minutes ago, we had partly cloudy skies. Didn't see any rain at this point in time, but we've had some breezy weather. And if you guys live on St. Lucia, let me know in the comments section below. So 25-mile-an-hour wind there on the north side of the island. Dominica has had a 33-mile-an-hour gust. And again, we're just beginning to see the disturbance move through the area. Guadeloupe will see some passing showers. Montserrat, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Martin has had a 25-mile-an-hour wind. And again, as far as the showers go for today, they've been pretty thin up here, but better opportunity will be on the board in the next 24 hours. Winds have also been gusty, kicking up some of the sea conditions across Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Again, you have the high surf advisory for the Leeward Islands and the British Virgin Islands, and they have a rip current statement for Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So from St. Thomas and St. Croix, again, beach conditions aren't going to be fantastic, and boating conditions will be chopped up from time to time as well. What do you say we take a live look to the radar here out of Puerto Rico, and you'll see now out ahead of the main moisture, it's fairly limited. There's just not a lot of lift in the atmosphere right now so far over Puerto Rico. So we've had very widely scattered showers on this Friday. Some on the southeast side of the island, a couple up towards Aguadilla area, but overall not a ton of rain here on this Friday. Temperatures have been quite lovely as well in most spots. It's get a little bit warmer from time to time, but it hasn't been that bad. Let's work our way off towards the west, and again, an area that just needs to continue to stay a bit dry. Dominican Republic and Haiti obviously still feeling the impacts of Melissa, and this will be for some areas months and months of recovery, if not even years, unfortunately, especially in Haiti. But in the short term, let's not have a lot more rain, and right now, thankfully, we're dry. I do expect there to be better rain chances, of course, over the weekend as that disturbance works its way off towards the west. I mentioned the Bahamas. Again, look, there's a few scattered showers and storms up here. It's not a completely dry forecast, but, there's just not a lot of lift in the atmosphere to produce heavy downpours in a broad area, but we're getting a little bit more activity at the hour over portions of Andros and New Providence and the Eleuthera areas just south of the Abacos. Nice little thunderstorm there on the southern sides of Grand Bahama as well. So let me bring up the live radar here out of the Miami area, and we'll put this into motion for you guys. And again, if you live in some of these areas who've had some of these downpours and a few thunderstorms, let me know how that turned out. But you can see the storms developing on the east side of Andros, rolling across New Providence. Look, if nothing else, they've had some rain across the island today with a few rumbles of thunder. Same situation with some scattered thunderstorms over Eleuthera. A little bit more concentrated just south of Grand Bahama, kind of skirting the Freeport, Lucaya, High Rock areas, and then pushing off towards the east. Looks like the Abacos are getting into it as well. A little bit drier right now towards Bimini and Walker's Key. But again, this area is under the influence of a very broad disturbance here, which actually originates in the central side of the Gulf, and it's just kicking waves of energy across the peninsula of Florida, the Florida Keys, portions of Cuba, and the Bahamas. Now, this boundary is likely to fade starting tomorrow, and I'm not expecting a lot more rain over the weekend, but there still could be a few isolated showers and storms. So this is the live look from central Eleuthera and Governor's Harbor there in the Bahamas. Again, you can see some of the overcast skies there, and we've had some showers. Now, the interesting thing is live on this late Friday at the hour, hardly a breath of wind outside. So despite the fact we've had some thunderstorms move close to the area, not a lot of wind. Also, a fantastic view from Grace Bay, Turks and Caicos. This is from the whole family. They sent this in. They talked about the bonfire night being the 5th of November in the UK. Well, they celebrated it yesterday with the Providenciales Primary School. Teachers, parents, students, I'm sure, were out there, and what a gorgeous shot there from Turks and Caicos. Appreciate the whole family sending that in to help tell the weather story in their area as well. All right, back out to the broad perspective here. Let's go into some other areas with some impactful weather for today. Nice to see quiet conditions over most of Jamaica. A few isolated thunderstorms on the northwest tip of the island, but otherwise we've been dry. Same situation for the Cayman Islands as well. Drier air is also in place in the northwest side of the Caribbean at the hour. Now that's still going to allow a few thunderstorms to develop in a localized fashion across the eastern sides of Quintana Roo, so Cancun and Cozumel could see a passing shower or a rumble of thunder. Same situation for the coastal sections of Belize towards Guatemala and the Bay Islands of Honduras, but again, not a lot of rain. Look, enjoy the dry weather while it's out there. It is going to change in a hurry because we're starting to see our monsoon trough start to pick up a little bit. Now, again, this trough is very prevalent throughout all of hurricane season, but as we get towards November, it also begins to lift to the north, and we can start to see additional moisture develop off of the coastline, which from time to time can lead to some tropical development, or if nothing else, some widespread showers and storms. I promise you we'll get into more in that forecast coming up. The ABC Islands look nice and quiet here late on this Friday, so we got to take our beauty shot for the day, and that's going to be from the Eagle Beach area of Oranjestad there. We'll take that camera, we'll slowly pan it off to the west. and to the south, and we'll make everyone jealous as we do so here. Again, gentle breeze out there for today, and I'm sure the beachgoers enjoyed, which was a lovely Friday afternoon in the Oranjestad area. Friends, I appreciate you guys. As always, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me. It actually helps out the channel more than you think. I do appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, come join a fantastic weather community. Again, let me know in the comment section below where you're viewing from. I always appreciate that. Thanks for sharing the channel with your family and friends. The memberships are open if you are so inclined, and so are the super thanks, and I appreciate those who have found ways to support the channel as well. That's not the next graphic that I wanted to go to. I'm gonna have to go back over here, and then we'll move on. I've got a lot more to talk about before we get into your island by island forecast, so apologize. I'll just switch over to this graphic and then we'll sneak our way back over to that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at the next few days, and then we're going to deep dive into next week and the tropical outlook. Again, still hurricane season, always keeping a very sharp eye on things. Now, near where we have our disturbed weather right now, that energy is going to kick north and east. So guess what? I mentioned this in yesterday's video as well. Bermuda will get ready for what could be a fairly wet and windy Saturday across the island. Now, remember the European model, we even had some of the ensemble members trying to make a low-level center out of this. That doesn't appear likely. It's going to be moving very rapidly, probably 35, 40 miles an hour, but get ready for a quick burst of rain and wind in Bermuda for tomorrow. We'll continue to see the rain chances again elevate late Friday and Saturday through most of the Lesser Antilles, still favoring the highest rain chances overall. Dominica South, so Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, SVG, Grenada, TNT, and Barbados. Now, again, is this an all-day rain? No, but could there be multiple rounds of quick passing showers which ultimately lead to a few inches of rain in your area? Absolutely. Again, the marine advisories are up, so keep that in mind. Seas will be building to the 2 to 3 meter range, maybe up to 10 feet in a couple of areas. So not a great start to the weekend boating wise as well. Let the disturbance pass by towards your west. Things should be improving as we head into Sunday. The rain chances won't be as elevated north, Guadeloupe and Montserrat, Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, areas like that for Saturday. But again, the rain chances will hold on a little bit greater into Sunday and Monday here, where they're going to fall off a little bit quicker as you get down towards the Windward Islands. Just a little bit more moisture holding on to these areas, and that rain chance will slip west as well. So improving rain chances for Anegada and Virgin Gorda and Jost Van Dyke and Tortola, St. Croix and St. Thomas and St. John, Vieques and Culebra, and Puerto Rico. Look, nothing outrageous. There could still be some locally heavy downpours from time to time, but just more rain than what we've had the last few days. This will translate into better rain chances across the Dominican Republic and Haiti as well. You know, moderate rain chances, nothing crazy, but still concerned about some spots that just don't need any additional heavy rain getting some of those downpours. So I'll be monitoring that situation. And again, especially in Southwest Haiti, we just need to stay a little bit drier overall. Speaking of drying out a bit, that's what's going to happen in the Bahamas. Again, this boundary becomes a bit more diffuse, so we're just not going to have as much rain. Still not completely dry, even down to Turks and Caicos. I can't rule out an isolated shower over the weekend, but again, many dry hours and locations are expected there. Cuba's rain chances will stay in the moderate category. Localized more than anything, nothing extremely significant or widespread. Now we start to get into where things get a little bit more interesting. What I expect for the weekend is our monsoon trough to begin to lift north and a lot more rain to develop along that. And again, this is regardless of any low-level center that tries to form. But you can see as we get into Saturday and Sunday and Monday how widespread the rain ends up becoming. Now, we're going to look into the tropical models coming up for next week, but I want to be very clear about one thing. Regardless of any form of tropical development out of this, and that chance looks to be quite low, I think we're in store for an area of significant widespread heavy rain that doesn't move much for what could be days and days and days. So my biggest concern out of this starting on Monday is how much rain could fall over some of our western areas, including all of Central America, portions of the Yucatan, Jamaica, and the Cayman Islands. And obviously, when you're talking about Jamaica, you're talking about an area that has still decimated on the western side from Hurricane Melissa. Now, for the weekend, it's scattered, but notice at the end of this into Monday, that moisture begins to lift north and east far enough where ultimately the island gets kind of covered up in the rain later on Monday. And this could be just the beginning of a wetter forecast for Jamaica. I'll monitor the situation. Jamaica is on the northeast side of where the heaviest rain is likely to fall. It's going to be worse farther west. So what I'm hoping for is that the extent of rain is just not as significant as what the models are showing so far. But let's keep an eye on it for us here. And again, that really starts in earnest potentially in Jamaica beginning on Monday. Scattered rain in the Cayman Islands, which is likely again to just continue to develop and elevate through the weekend and into early next week. And anywhere from Honduras south, it's going to start to get very wet. And that's including the Caribbean coastline and the Pacific coastline, so Tegucigalpa and Managua and San Jose and Panama City. The rain starts to build in Roatan, Utila, Guanaja, La Ceiba, San Pedro Sula, Dangriga, Belize City. It's going to get wet. Again, just better rain chances over the weekend, developing slowly, and then we turn on things on Monday. Unfortunately, it starts to get very wet across the Yucatan as well. So now let me skip what we've already seen and go island by island for you guys. Again, not a lot of rain in the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos over the weekend and into Monday. Moderate rain chances in Cuba, building rain chances Monday, and likely to continue to go higher in Cayman Islands. Same situation for Belize City. We go, just 20, 30 over the weekend. Look, there's still a lot of dry hours over the weekend in Belize City, but it starts to get wet on Monday, and the rain chances won't go that far north in Cancun and Cozumel yet, at least by Monday. There's the improving rain chances, unfortunately, for Jamaica. Again, 30% chance over the weekend, up to at least a 50 on Monday. Dominican Republic's rain chances stay in the moderate category through Monday as well. Puerto Rico's rain chances highlighted by the best chance on Sunday, 40% chance Saturday and Monday. Virgin Islands rain chances are highest over the weekend, fall off a little bit on Monday, but still in the moderate category. Bermuda, again, with rain and wind for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Behind the system, they'll be drying out. Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, again, just stays in that moderate category. Again, the farther north you are in the Lesser Antilles, you've got heightened rain chances tomorrow, but they stay more elevated Sunday, Monday, where if you look south, Martinique, St. Lucia, SVG, and South, they're going to have higher rain chances tomorrow, but their rain chances tail off quicker into early next week compared to other areas. So, Guadeloupe will have a better rain chance on Monday compared to SVG, but SVG has a higher rain chances for your Saturday, and that's what we're going to see in Barbados and other areas as well. So Barbados, a 70% chance again, the locally heavy rain for Saturday, but we're down to a 20% chance on Monday. Grenada's rain chances high Saturday and then fading Sunday, Monday. Same situation for TNT, Suriname, and Guyana as well. Some scattered rain chances for Nueva Esparta, and not a lot of rain, but at least a few showers possible. Some of that will be in the evening and the overnight hours for portions of the ABC Islands. Okay, mariners, get prepared. It's going to be pretty nasty out there. First of all, cold front coming off the United States East Coast, going to kick things up for the Western Atlantic Basin. We've got our disturbance in the Eastern Caribbean. And look what that cold front does. I want to be very clear about one thing. We'll talk more about it in a second. The cold front that'll be moving through the Southeast United States Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is likely to settle all the way into the Northwest Caribbean. This is an extremely powerful cold front. It is going to bring temperatures Tuesday morning as far south as Orlando, Florida, into the upper 30s Fahrenheit, actual air temperature Tuesday morning. So that front will play a factor in what's going to be happening in the Western Caribbean as well. As far as rainfall totals, again, and we'll deep dive into this in a minute, fast moving system, so not a lot of rain for Bermuda, but look down the road here starting Monday. Because that cold front doesn't allow our system to slide north, now it stalls out near the Caribbean coastline of Central America, and the rainfall numbers have gone even higher. Now the highest number on this map is 20 inches of rain, and I hate to tell you that, but that is over portions of potentially, again, not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination, but on the European model, potentially portions of Belize, and Guatemala and Honduras and Nicaragua, maybe even Panama and Costa Rica as well. Now, again, not everyone's going to get 20, but local maximums, 5, 6 inches of rain and much higher. That's the biggest widespread concern in the Western Caribbean with that disturbance for the next week ahead. And again, some locally heavy downpours and rain, especially in the Windward Islands. Now, most of that falls in the next 48 hours. Okay, so back over to the weather computer. A couple of things I want to do here real quick. I think I'm going to bring up what we call these wind vectors first of all. I think this tells you the story better about this cold front. So this is going to be the wind vector product here. And let me loop this up real quick. It's going to take a second because I'm calling an audible on myself here to fully bring this up. But I want you guys to understand the implications of the cold front that's going to be coming in. First of all, the thing that you're going to notice is that the trade winds in the Caribbean are going to be freshening over the weekend. These purple arrows that you see are winds of at least 25 miles an hour, and they'll be freshening up from the Lesser Antilles and just pushing all the way through the Caribbean. Now you can clearly see what this cold front is going to do. Again, extremely powerful front. These are surface winds. It's going to turn the winds due north in the entire Gulf and this drive them south. So even as we get into, this is what, just Monday night, right? The winds are already out of the north in the Cayman Islands and most of Quintana Roo, even into, the Windward Passage and towards Jamaica. We're having almost due northerly winds all the way down to Central America. This is an extremely powerful cold front for November. And if I just single frame this into Tuesday morning real quick, you'll see that they even freshen up more. These are 25 and 30 mile an hour sustained winds, but they're all out of the north. Now you notice on the south side of this, the GFS model begins to pick up a little bit in the way of some surface circulation. So let me go back out here, and I'm going to take this out a little bit farther in time. I'm going to go out a full week basically and loop that up. But let's talk about this. So the problem with the front coming in is that it's going to pin all of the moisture in the Western Caribbean. This area, this monsoon trough, which has a ton of tropical moisture, and by the way, is still sitting over sea surface temperatures of 29, 30 degrees Celsius or even higher in a couple of spots, plenty of heat, latent heat energy to tap into, doesn't move for days. This is going all the way out to next Saturday, the 15th. Just look how that boundary comes in on the 11th, pins everything in the Western Caribbean, and nothing moves. And this monsoon trough just spins and produces very heavy rainfall. So that's my biggest concern. Now, underneath this, could we still get some kind of broad tropical development, some kind of low-level center to produce more wind to go along with the heavier rain? That's a possibility as well. This is what it looks like minus the arrows. So what we're looking at here is a consolidation of a low-level center, and the GFS still shows that. Now, just like the European showed yesterday, it quickly develops it kind of off the coastline of Nicaragua and then drives it inland. And if that's the case, you get some wind to move back into Central America, but it never fully develops, right? Because it never stays offshore. If, especially in November, we're going to get a tropical depression or a tropical storm out of this, it's going to have to stay offshore much longer than this. But, this does kick up the potential wind profile in the Western Caribbean as well. So big time rain potential, Western Caribbean next week, some wind potential, very low wind opportunity for maybe a tropical system to form underneath that. This is the latest ensemble members of the GFS. Again, by midweek, we start to get a couple of the ensemble members in the Southwest Caribbean, but most of them, again, kind of hug the Nicaragua, Honduras coastline, whereas, 2 days ago, we were much farther out in the open waters of the Caribbean, allowing there to be more development. So in that regard, it's a better situation. The European model, again, has backed off a little bit since about 3 or 4 days ago. Still shows a few signs here. Again, first development would be like Wednesday, Thursday, but most of this activity is, very weak or already over Central America. Just a couple of ensemble members are off the Nicaraguan coastline. But again, not a lot of north latitude gain for next week, because of how strong that cold front is. Remember, the north winds aren't going to allow that to go farther north at all. So better for the lower chance for development, but worse for how much rain could fall in some of these areas. Something to keep a really close eye on for next week. Friends, I do appreciate you guys. You can follow us across our social media platforms. We're on Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook, so we got you covered across your various social media areas. You want to send me a picture or video, the easiest way to do that, it's going to be mymediamundo@gmail.com. Look, you got a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. And while you're down there, I do appreciate you guys taking a quick second and liking and subscribing. And please remember that the sponsor of the channel is the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Wind, hail, hurricane damage, a burst pipe, you've been in an auto accident, all of those things, they can help you through that insurance claim process. Because they offer free consultation and policy reviews, you have nothing to lose. The website's leanomelaw.com for more information. Friends, I'll keep you updated. Have a great rest of your day. I'm back soon with the latest forecast right here at Meteo Mundo.